It's Morphin time. Today, I am going to be building out the original Black Power Ranger helmet from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. This was my first shiny helmet build, so it was a tough one. If you're new to helmet making and you haven't yet watched my Helmets 101 episode, I definitely recommend checking that one out first before you dive into this episode. This helmet build uses a lot of techniques that I explored in the first video and expounds on them. So if you haven't seen that one yet, I definitely recommend checking that video out first. This is a paid file from do3d.com. This was printed on an H2D, an X1 carbon, and an A1 mini. I used black and yellow PLA along with a silver silk PLA for the mouthpiece. I used several different automotive spray paints, clear coats, and fillers, a welding mask shield, as well as 8 by 2mm magnets for this one. As usual, everything will be linked in the description below. Let's check out the build. This is what the helmet looked like when it came off of the printer bed. As you can see, there were some pretty severe layer lines on here, so I knew that I was going to be in for a lot of sanding. I used 120, 220, and 400 grit sandpaper on this mask. I also used an automotive filler primer spray, did some sanding, then I sprayed it with the black and/or silver spray paint. I did some more sanding, I did more coats of spray paint, some more sanding, then I did an automotive clear coat on all of the pieces, and the helmet also required some more sanding and further coats of the clear coat. So after many hours of sanding and many coats of paint, I am ready to put the silver outline around the edge of the mask here with some silver paint. I am going to be using the Army Painter War Paints plate mail metal for this one, and I'm just going to do this top outline along the visor and then this bottom outline here on the bottom of the visor. There's the bottom. And now I get to do the same thing on the top edges of the visor. There we go. Silver outline is done. Next up, I am going to put the magnets around the back of the helmet and let those dry. I don't want to put the magnets in the actual helmet yet because it could pull the magnets out of the back of this piece here, and we do not want that. Glue it once, glue it the right direction, and be done with it. We are using size 8 magnets on this. So for this piece, I am going to put all the magnets in the same direction, and then we'll do them in the opposite direction on the rest of the helmet after these are dried. I'm just going to use regular super glue to put these in. I don't want to use miter apple because I do not want the activator spray ruining the finish on this helmet. So there's the first one. You want to make sure that you push it all the way into the socket so that it's flush with the helmet. Otherwise, you're going to have a gap when you put the two pieces together. There we have all of our magnets in the back of the helmet. So I'm gonna let that dry and then I will come back and do the magnets on the helmet. Okay, so the glue has dried on these magnets and we can start putting the magnets in the helmet. So you wanna make sure you have the alignment correct. So when I test out the polarity of this one, I'm gonna put it in this bottom space here. Test the polarity so I know that I want this side pointing out. So all of our magnets are now in the front part of the helmet. My magnets have been drying. So let's test out the connection here. Yay! That's really solid. I don't think I need to add anything else on the inside here to hold this together. That is really solid. I'm gonna put the back off to the side here so that I can start gluing in the pieces that need to go on the helmet here. So we have to put the eyes in, we have to put the mouth, we have to put the little horns on the side, and then we are going to put in the visor. I'm gonna try something new. So I'm gonna start with the eyes here. This has a really thin edge on here, and then the eyes just set into there. I'm gonna use regular super glue sparingly. I don't want it to leak out past the eyes, so I'm just gonna do a very small amount on this edge here. So there's our first eye. And repeat with the second. And there we have the second eye. So both eyes are attached. Next, we are going to put the mouthpiece in. For this piece, I'm going to hot glue it into place. I don't want the super glue to leak out, and this piece sets in from the back. So if the super glue leaks out, it's going to ruin the silk. So what I'm gonna do is make sure that this is properly in place, and then I am going to hot glue it around the edge here to keep it in. I'm gonna use some painter's tape here on the inside to hold the piece in place while I glue it down. That way, it's not going to move positions during the gluing process. The hot glue is ready, so I am going to start putting this in here. I use a clear glue stick on the inside here. Make sure the edges were sealed up here on both sides, and that is not going anywhere. So there's our mouth. Next, I am going to put the horns on here. I'm just gonna apply regular super glue here and then attach it. There are these cutouts here and notches on the helmet so that you cannot mess up the alignment at all. It only goes on in one way. I'm gonna be careful not to get glue toward the edges because I don't want it to stick out of the finished piece. So there's our first horn. Now for the second one. And there we have our second horn. Next up, this needs a visor. So I have this welding mask that I bought on Amazon. It's flexible and it should serve really well as a visor. I should be able to bend this to the shape that I need. I'm gonna hot glue it into place after I cut it out, because obviously this is too big for the inside of the helmet. So what I'm gonna do is put this in the helmet and tape it into place. Then I am going to use a piece of chalk to draw the outline of where I want to cut out the visor, and then I'm going to cut the plastic, put it back in, and secure it in place with hot glue. There is a protective coating on both sides of this plastic, so I'm going to leave those on until I am ready to glue. Start by cutting a piece of this off. It is not quite setting in there the way I would like it to, so I'm just gonna cut a couple inches off, and hopefully I can get this in here a little bit better. I'm gonna also cut a couple inches off of the top because it's too tall to sit all the way forward. So I believe the edge is right there. Yep. So I'm going to trace this with chalk. So I have the general shape of the visor, and I'm going to cut outside of that line because I'd rather have too much than too little. I can always trim this down. I can't add to it. So let's see how this fits. And I am going to use the painter's tape again and tape it into place in a second here after I see how it looks and I peel the film off. I am happy with that. I'm going to start by getting the chalk off my hands. That side of the plastic off first. I am going to tape this visor into place after I peel the film off, and then I'm going to start gluing it. So I'm holding down the edges here to make sure that they are firmly adhering to the edge of the mask. So I'm letting it dry a little bit, and then I'm moving on to the next section. Now I'm just sealing up the edges really well to make sure that everything stays in place. I am going to get the smudges off the inside of this lens, remove as many of the spider webs as I can, and there we have our visor. Here is the finished helmet. I did a lot of research on this one and tried a lot of new techniques, and I am really pleased with how this came out. The back of the helmet is really well attached. I was afraid that I was going to have to maybe add some straps in here to make sure that it didn't come off while wearing it, but there are more than enough magnets on here to hold it firmly in place. The welding shield worked really well as a visor. I had never done that before. It came out amazing. This was so much easier to put in than I thought it was going to be. And the best part is you cannot see the wearer's eyes from the outside. From the inside, it looks like you're looking through some sunglasses. So I highly suggest this method if you need a visor or some tinted eyes for one of your helmets. Welding shield is the way to go. Here are my rankings for this project. Ease of printing, I'm going to give this one a 9. The files were sent straight to the printer and they came out as advertised. There were some pretty heavy layer lines on the top of the helmet and the back here, which required a lot of heavy sanding, but you have to be careful when sanding because that generates heat, which could warp your final product so just be wary of that. Because I chose a silk PLA for this mouthpiece, I did have to print it twice before I was happy with the look of it. But the pieces did come out beautifully and they fit together right off of the printer. Ease of assembly, I will give this one a 7. There was a lot of post-processing to get it to be this smooth and shiny. It was endless rounds of primering, sanding, painting, sanding, clear coating, sanding, but in the end, all of the hours put into that were worth it. Then there was a little bit of painting, just doing the silver lines around the mask here. The silver tusks were painted with a silver automotive paint, and the eyes I printed in yellow and did the same shiny clear coat that I put on the rest of the helmet. Cutting and gluing the visor was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. Putting in the magnets is always nerve-wracking because if you put them in backwards, you can't fix it without damaging the helmet. But they hold really well. Despite the amount of post-processing this took, I absolutely love how this came out. Did you know that you could make a piece of matte plastic look this shiny? So that's going to do it for this one. If you enjoyed this episode, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. Leave them in the comment section below, and I will see you on the next one.